I'm Josh Parsons, Product Manager here at Enzoic, and today we'll walk through Enzoic for Active Directory Lite. And we'll get started by downloading the solution, which you can find at the following URL. And the first thing we do here is navigate to Register Now to create an account. Once you have an account or log into the Enzoic web console, navigate to Enzoic for Active Directory Lite. You can click Download, and once you have the installer, AD Lite can be installed on any supported domain-joined Windows system. All you need are a 64-bit Windows client or server, an account with admin privileges, and internet access. In my environment of roughly 1,000 users, the scan took roughly 1 minute to complete. And the information in the header is based on the full environment that was scanned. So even in larger environments, you can still see the overall exposure information, such as the total number of accounts with compromised passwords, weak passwords, shared passwords, passwords set to never expire, or stale accounts. The overall exposure numbers in the header reflect the full environment, with specific breach and account level exposure details shown for the first 20 users in the dashboard below. Now you'll notice that for each of the data points featured in the header, there's an explanation in the bottom right saying what the box represents. And administrator accounts represents the number of accounts that have administrative access in your environment, either directly or indirectly. When you select accounts with compromised passwords, you'll also have the option to schedule a meeting with a member of the Enzoic team. And we highly recommend doing this if any compromised passwords are found, because this represents the largest area of risk of a data breach on average for organizations. And we can help you implement an ongoing way to manage this risk. And this section represents the number of accounts using a password that's been exposed in a data breach. And even if this wasn't from an internal breach in your organization, most users tend to reuse passwords across both personal and professional accounts, so it can still be traced to them and still poses a significant risk to your environment. Accounts with no passwords can be logged into by anyone without restriction and are often created as a mistake during the account creation process. Accounts with weak passwords are those that are vulnerable to credential spraying attacks and are also easily compromised if your password hashes are ever leaked from your Active Directory. Accounts sharing passwords represents the number of accounts in your environment that have an identical password to another account, and this can happen often if users don't change a default password. Accounts with passwords set to never expire represents the number of accounts in your environment that are configured to have their password never expire. And it's not necessarily a bad thing to have passwords never expire. However, we provide this information so you can remediate depending on your goals and identify any inconsistencies in your environment. Stale accounts are accounts in Active Directory which have not been logged into in the last 6 months, or have an expired password. Even if you have policies in place to delete user accounts upon their departure, folks such as contractors may still have accounts in your environment that may be stale accounts. And as you notice, I have many in my environment because this is a test environment. And you also may have noticed that as I clicked on values in the header, the relevant accounts appear in the dashboard below. So when I clicked on accounts with compromised passwords, the accounts with compromised passwords appear below. And when I click here onto all users from the scan appear below. So we can take a look at this part of the dashboard. Starting on the far left, you'll see username. And username is simply the username that you have configured for this account in Active Directory. Moving over to password strength, this shows you if a password is strong, compromised, or weak. And exposure elaborates on this with a bit more information. For example, if a password was found in a breach, the exposure column may show password exposed in breach. If the password is strong, exposure may show NA or not available. In the Lite version, specific breach details are shown for the first 20 users. For users beyond that detailed view, password strength may show as hidden, and exposure may show purchase additional licenses. The important thing to keep in mind is that these users were still included in the full scan, and the totals in the header still represent the full environment that was scanned. Number of accounts with the same password, where shown, tells you how many other accounts have an identical password to this particular user account. And for the remaining categories, an X means that the condition applies to that account. So you can see if an account is an administrator, has a password that never expires or is expired, or is considered stale. And finally, in the bottom right-hand side, there's a banner that you can click on to go to a link to download the full Enzoic for Active Directory solution. And the full solution allows you to configure more granular policies, including setting up a custom dictionary of banned terms and passwords, automating monitoring and remediation in a set it and forget it solution, unlocking detailed account level results and reporting across the full environment, all while complying with the most stringent frameworks such as NIST 863b. The full solution is free for up to 20 users, and to help get you started with those conversations internally, you can use the reporting feature in the bottom left. Here I can run a detailed report, a summary report which is more concise, or export results for users in a CSV. If I go to the detailed report, I can customize the report using my company logo. And then once I click generate, the report will be generated. Finally, let's take a quick look at the detailed report generated in Enzoic for Active Directory Lite. Now, the executive summary gives you the overall health of the environment and organizes each finding by risk. In this example, the environment is marked unhealthy because of compromised and shared passwords. The remaining pages break those findings down in more detail. Each section includes an overview of the threat, information on how to fix it, and the affected accounts, so you can understand both the risk and the recommended remediation. For compromised passwords, 5 accounts are shown here, with 3 additional accounts hidden in the Lite version. The report also shows whether each account has administrative privileges and its primary group. The shared password section identifies the users who are using the same password and displays a masked NTLM hash. This allows you to identify the affected group without exposing the password itself. There's also information on stale accounts, weak passwords, other vulnerabilities in your environment. The final page gives recommended next steps and explains how the full Enzoic for Active Directory solution can continuously screen password changes, monitor existing passwords as new breaches are discovered, apply customizable password policies, and automate remediation. So Enzoic for Active Directory Lite gives you a fast snapshot of the password risk that exists in your environment today. The full Enzoic for Active Directory solution turns that snapshot into continuous protection. The full solution is free for up to 20 users, so you can get started today and help prevent compromised credentials from becoming your next security incident.